So it looks like there's still a very strong carryover from last week's energy on this domestic focus. And it feels like there could be very strong benefits from that, as well as maybe some shocking or awakening type of energy coming mid to later in this week. Watch the whole video to find out. Just a reminder that this is meant to be a mundane reading and not at all a sun sign or all signs kind of a forecast. Okay, so let's jump into the charts for this week. I know you can see them, but I gotta move to them. Okay, we're gonna start here on Sunday, June 7th. However, there's really nothing major on this day, so we're gonna skip ahead to Monday, June 8th. First on the list here, we're going to have this last moon quarter here, where we're going to have the sun here in Gemini and the moon in Pisces. Okay. I'm getting like both energies combined here. I'm just trying to... There's something coming out about maybe what's been hidden. We've got the sun in Gemini, so Gemini is representing what I feel with this is this awareness, this communicative aspect. And the moon, especially with the moon here and Pisces relating to like deception, what's hidden, that kind of stuff. But the moon can also relate to that as well in terms of like the depth of things, depth of emotion, subconscious. And the vibe that I get with this is what I get is it seems like maybe there's political figures or some higher level figures that are saying things about what has been hidden, whether they're the ones bringing it out, saying something like that, or they're addressing something that has already been brought up and speaking about it and saying whatever about it, right? So there's this could be this. Is there any specifics on what this might be? It feels like almost like what has been being worked on behind the scenes that is now being almost like announced or brought to light or something of this sort. Okay, there's something that has been worked on, it feels like for quite a while, and now it is being kind of voiced in whatever way that this is. This doesn't feel bad, it just feels like we just haven't been told yet. Okay, and I don't mean this really in a negative way, because there are some things that occur that you can't really fully announce because there's multiple pieces at play. What I'm getting a sense of is that there were negative people with nefarious intent that had certain things have been properly known, these things would have been kiboshed, or they would have been like not allowed, they would have been tampered with, let's say, okay? Which is why certain things needed to be left hidden before they become announced that, oh, this has happened, or this will be done, or whatever, something like that. That's what I get a sense of in relation to this quarter moon. Now, we're also going to have Mars here in this quintile to the North Node. So what I get a sense of is there's these action steps. Again, it's relating to like this behind the scenes stuff. There's stuff that has been being worked on, really. And this is action that is going to be taken towards the direction forward, but it's unknown to, let's say, the populace, the collective at large, but it's known to other people. And it is a positive direction. And we'd be like, okay, why are we going this way? What is going on? But it's this idea of like trusting. With this quintile, I get a very strong sense that there has been a lot of work put in behind the scenes. And now action is being taken to move in this new direction. And we're kind of like, okay, it seems unknown, but it's known to those people that have been working on it behind the scenes. Okay? And so the action is now being taken, and this feels like physical action, like we're dealing with Mars and Taurus. This is taking those physical grounded steps to put this into play, whatever that has been being worked on that is going forward in this way. We're also going to have, where is it here, Mercury in this quincunx to Juno. Immediately what I get is this relates to what I said in last week's video about a pause of partnerships. in relation to the home front or domestic. Last week's video was about, there was a theme surrounding domestic, or focusing on yourselves as like a country first before anything else. There's a frustration here because there's a desire for these partnerships to continue, but Juno is retrograde, and it's kind of, with this, put a pause or a relook at these things. And it relates to working on the home front first, or domestic first. But what this Mercury is it's voicing what needs to be taken care of since these partnerships are on pause. Be like, this is stopped for now, for whatever reason, and we need to focus more domestically or on our own stuff. And there's like communication about this. What I got was either some political figure or something saying, okay, we need to focus on this now until these partnerships or whatever can be like reactivated or whatever in some way. But there's a frustration with this because it's almost like you're limited with the finite resources that exist within your own area, your own space. But what I get a feel of is there's actually more there and more to that than what most people realize that there is. It's not necessarily a bad limitation. There's creative ways and creative understandings to use what you already have, and there's actually power within that. Okay, so there's a frustration here that you can't rely on, let's say, other people like you could have before regarding these commitments and partnerships. But in order for things to properly move forward in an appropriate way and make proper progress, the focus needs to be sent back home first. So there's something about this. There's a frustration, but it's kind of like being announced, okay, this is the direction that we do have to go in. It's almost like our hand is being forced in some way. We have to focus on this. But it's actually not going to be as bad as we think, because there's a resiliency, there's a creativeness to this. There's forming a solid foundation that's going to make you more stable in the long run, because you can survive on your own without this reliance on somebody else. And then when those partnerships move forward, it's going to be, everyone has a more solid foundation, and you're more able to help and to assist in a more appropriate way, or in a way that's better for both of you. So this isn't necessarily bad, and I don't think it's going to be like really, it doesn't sense like it's really bad. It's just, it's a shift, and it carries over very strongly from last week's message. So if you haven't watched that video, go and watch it. Mercury will also be in this quintile to Chiron. Believe it or not, this is dealing with healing those wounds of independence. In relation to the quincunx and what I just talked about, it almost seems like there's a more internal focus with this quintile. And that there's going to be, and when you're focused domestically and on your own stuff, to others, it's almost like you're working behind the scenes. Because you're not communicating with them, you're not doing whatever, you're not hiding it, but you're just focusing on your own stuff, working behind the scenes to take care of it. And that's what I get with that quintile energy. But it's about healing that wound of independence. It's like you're realizing you can be independent within the resources you have available to you in whatever way that is. And that you don't have to have this reliance on other people. But when you have that solid foundation, and then you go to have that partnership with those other people again, it becomes more valuable. It becomes more, because you're coming at it from a more solid foundation. It's like you don't need to rely on them. You're more able to actually provide a more positive, it's more of like adding icing onto a cake, right? It's adding that level, that extraness to it, or that decoration on the cake, or the fancy whatever, like the fancy like piping on the top. Like it's something like that makes it more grand, more better, more almost of more value, but in a way that's not needed, but in a way that feels really good. Okay, and it's really of more benefit to the people involved. It's like, yeah, I don't know how else to say that, but none of this is really negative. It's about focusing on kind of healing these things and shifting a focus so that things can become better in whatever way. This is a very strong carryover from last week's message. So again, if you haven't watched that video, please go and watch it. Okay, so now let's move on to Tuesday the 9th here. We're going to have Venus as well here in this biquintile to Black Moon Lilith. This very much relates to whoever this hidden group of people is. Watch the past 3-4 videos if you want to know who I'm talking about, because I don't want to get into detail again here. But there's a group of people that has been forced to kind of handle things on their own. I haven't been guided to what this specifically is yet, because we will know when we will know. To handle things on their own, to move forward, to work on aspects of justice, etc. Okay. And this is a sense that they've been outcasted, but they're actually owning their power within that. It's like, okay, you've tossed me aside, I don't care, I'm still doing this anyway, and we're going to come back bigger, better, and stronger than before. And with this biquintile, it's that pushing for that creative work behind the scenes that they're doing that is really saying, you can cast us aside all you want, we're not going to be. Okay, in terms of how this feels, right? When all is said and done, it's going to almost be a regret that they did that in casting them aside due to the amazing work that they were able to then do or work on behind the scenes when they come out of this. Almost like a chrysalis or something like that, where they're working on this stuff and then they're able to break free of this. I don't fully understand the message behind this. I really don't. We're not going to see this in the news. This is not going to be something that comes up in whatever way. This is just how this is being used right now on this mundane level and how I'm being guided to it. So I'm as much in the dark as anybody else, but I'm just giving the message. So Venus conjunct Jupiter, this is relating to this same type of thing. Seems like there might be something else to this. There's a strong beneficial energy here to this group of people that are working on this stuff behind the scenes on their own. It's an immense amount of support for what they're doing, and it will pay off for them and what I get a sense of the collective at large. It's a very positive thing that is occurring here, even if it's not coming through yet. Now, is there anything else to this that is likely to play out in a different way? That is not this group of people. It seems like it's just that. Or at least that's the message that they're wanting to provide for me. Okay, I'm going to ask again because I get a sense if there's something else. Is there something else? All I feel is a very strong positive energy with this conjunction. Anything to go with that. Then I'm not being shown or told anything else. All I get a sense of is there's a very strong positive energy with this. Okay, it feels like it's related domestically on that home front part. But they're saying, we don't want you to focus. That's like, and then they're pulling me away. It's like, we don't want you to focus on that. That's enough. It's like just the word. It's like, just let them see. Okay, so I guess we will see. Okay, that's that. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. We'll see. We're also going to have the Sun in opposition to Black Moon Lilith here as well. This is... there's like communication, what feels like something surrounding help and support for those that have been like outcasted in some way. I'm talking about like, because this is mundane, I get a sense of either like war crimes or like hunger crises or like countries, people of different cultures, those kinds of things that have been outcasted in some way. Okay, now I understand. I get this aspect of support, and I'm like, how does this relate to like Gemini? But I get this, it's in their local community. There's an aspect of local community support that comes through for these outcasted or kind of like ostracized people. But it could be from people that are not from. Okay, it could be from people that are not from that community that come to that community to then be a part of the community help, to then help those that have been outcasted or whatever. It's focusing more on that help within the local environment itself, instead of doing it from afar, from other places, or just with money donations, etc. The focus is more localized in terms of these outcasted people, but that it relates to on a global scale. Okay. Excuse me. We're also going to have Mercury here in square to Saturn. It's almost like there's a forced hand in focusing on your own sovereignty and independence in a domestic way. There has been either some event or some whatever, somebody has said something, somebody has laid down some boundaries, some ground rules, some whatever that has been put forth that is showing this, what I'm getting, the words that I got is sovereignty first, independence first. And it is focusing, what I get a sense of it, this Mercury relates to Gemini in terms of local environment, and in Cancer this is relating to the home front or the home country. And there's boundaries that are in place that are kind of pushing other countries to focus domestically more. It's almost like they don't have a choice but to. But it's almost like it's for good reason in whatever way. Again, I get this building of a solid foundation. So Saturn is in Aries, the ruler of Aries is Mars, and it's in Taurus. It's almost like there's this vibe of this groundedness in terms of material, either economic, foundational stuff. Saturn, Capricorn relates to that as well. It's very grounded energy in terms of physical things. Physical things feels and makes more sense to me right now as soon as that word came out. Physical things, but there's boundaries in place as it relates to physical things that are within your own country, dealing with that instead of this everybody else kind of a thing. That's what I get with that. It's still a very strong carryover from last week's energy. Let's move on to Wednesday the 10th, okay? Well, what's going on here? Sorry, just a sec. So Wednesday the 10th, we're going to have Venus here. And it's going to be biquintile to the North Node. I'm getting about this group of people again. And it's about this path forward, but it feels like the path forward collectively as the world. And what this group of people and whatever it is that they're doing is of great benefit to, like I said, collectively. I've already said that earlier on in this video. But it's dealing with what the work that they're being focused on that is behind the scenes in doing so. Okay, we're also going to have here the Sun in the sesqui-square to Pluto retrograde. I feel like it's almost like there's more coming out. There's something about this, about stuff coming out. Pluto in Aquarius, I get a sense of there could be like shocking things, revelations, something like that, as it relates to maybe things being released or brought out or talked about in some way. This feels like separate from everything else that I've talked about in this video. It's something separate, but it's something that can't be swept under the rug like any longer. Something that's being released. It's being brought into our awareness. There's an aspect of communication that is being shown in whatever way that it is, whether it's digital communication through what I get a sense of, it's through some kind of document, either official documents, whether that's digital or physical or something like that, that is being released or shown in some way. And this could be shocking revelations. With Pluto retrograde, we're dealing with stuff that, what I get a sense of, that has been hidden for a very long time. This is old stuff. And when we're dealing with Pluto and Scorpio, it's kind of about revealing these things and facing what you have to face, right? So it's bringing this stuff kind of to the surface or diving deep into these things to bring awareness to it. And what I get a sense of with this Aquarius energy is this aspect of awakening. There's a shocking part of this, possibly, stuff like that. And obviously with the Sun in Gemini, highlighting it through this aspect of communication and awareness and those official documents or whatever. And this sesqui-square, like I said, can't be swept under the rug any longer. It's almost forcing or really strongly pushing for that resolution in whatever way. And like I said, this feels like a very separate energy than everything else that I've talked about in this video. Okay, so this is being used differently than a lot of other things, than a lot of the other energy that is occurring. But that's Wednesday the 10th. Let's move on to Thursday the 11th. And we're only going to have on this day this Sun in this quintile to the South Node. This is an awareness. It almost feels like maybe through that communication or whatever comes through, it's like there's almost like there's behind the scenes work to create this path of letting go. And so it's almost like there's this automaticness to just releasing this past and releasing these old ways of doing things, of understanding of what we once thought was practical in our reality, in our day-to-day lives, etc., that is almost like it's just automatically out the door because of something that has been prepared for or worked on behind the scenes. And through some aspect of awareness, it feels like this is like an automatic let go of whatever these things, these old, get a sense of old beliefs or old something surrounding that. But it's the old understanding of our practical world and environment that then just automatically is out the door because of some aspect of awareness. This feels like it's related to the sesqui-square to Pluto retrograde in whatever way. So just keep that in mind. Let's move on now to Friday the 12th. This is when we're going to have Uranus here in square to the nodes. The Uranus in Gemini in square to the North Node and in square to the South Node. I feel like there's something that's shocking here. It's almost like an awakening moment or shocking or something. Because we've got Uranus in Gemini and this is strong air energy, but it feels like there's an awakening moment through the mind, through this awareness of almost like seeing things with your own eyes or hearing it with your own ears, or understanding the communication because it's being directly shown to you. And it's like, so whatever this is, it feels like some people simply won't believe it because it seems too weird or crazy to be true. It's almost like you're being shown the truth directly. But even though you're seeing it, you still can't believe it. It's like the phrase to see it to believe it, but it's like you're being shown it, but it's so like you couldn't fathom its existence that you still don't believe it to be true, even though you're seeing it with your own eye, even though it's right in front of you, right? It's like ignoring the elephant in the room, even when it's shit on your face. Okay, it's like that. But it's people that have been so stuck in an understanding, and they've believed everything that they've been told, and they've never questioned it or denied it, and they're unable to step outside of that because they've been so stuck in that for so long. That's the energy that I get with that, in terms of those that cannot see this for what it is. Those that can, though, understand the progress and the ultimate letting go that this is. I'm being drawn to the fact that Mercury rules Virgo, and we're dealing with Uranus in Mercury's other sign of Gemini. There's lots of mercurial type of energy here, but I get a sense of it's not relating to Mercury in Cancer. It's relating to this aspect of awareness of either through communication, through the details, through whatever both of these signs kind of carry. There's something about this, and through that it allows this letting go, this awakening moment that allows this very strong letting go and this path forward, ultimately into the unknown. But it almost is like it's not really unknown anymore. In a way, it's like we know that we have to go in this direction now, because everything that we've known before has been a lie. That's the vibe that I get with this. Whether it's directly, physically that thing, or something relating to that, I don't know. This seems wild and crazy. I mean, they're dealing with Uranus here, so it could be wild and crazy, but it seems that way. But this is like very progressive, awakening type of energy, and letting go of an old thing and moving into a new direction. It feels so like that. Okay, it's very, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to move on as well. We're also going to have Venus here in square to Chiron. Again, I'm getting this. Venus is very strongly relating to whatever these group of people are. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go like 2, 3, 4 videos back. When Venus came into Cancer, watch that video first about it, and then you'll understand. This is very much, we're not being wounded in our independence anymore. We're healing that by dealing with this ourselves. It's what I get a sense of with that. And if you heard me talk about this before, it is about these people, they are dealing with it themselves. And it's going to be for the benefit of kind of everyone, not just them, but everyone in whatever way. I don't know how exactly this is. I'm not being guided or told to what it is. We're just going to have to see it for what it is when it actually comes to fruition, whatever that is. Okay? And that Venus conjunct Jupiter plays a role with that, and we may not see that right away. And then there's whatever that good feeling that I felt. I don't know. That was just the wait and see moment, whatever that is. We just have to wait and see. So that's Friday the 12th. Let's move on to Saturday the 13th. Of course, this is when we're going to have Venus now coming into Leo. Of course, at the time of this chart, it's still at 29 degrees of Cancer, but will come into Leo. Looks like sometime in the morning. 4:49 a.m. So not long after this, I have this chart set up. So Venus in Leo. I feel it's along the lines of what I talked about with this group type energy, but I now get a very outspoken energy. I get an outspoken energy as there's a very strong courage, strength, charisma, this the Leo energy behind this, what it feels like a feminine energy. Leo is a masculine sign, but what I get a sense of is those attributes are being applied in what feels like a very feminine way and giving strength to this feminine energy in whatever the way that this is. Okay, this isn't like the divine feminine in everyone going what blah 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 blah. Okay, that's not what this is. Yes, we all have divine masculine and divine feminine energy within us. Yes, it is equally as strong as the masculine. It's like, but people tend to take this in a different direction and think of it in a different way than what it is meant to be. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say with this. Now, what I get a sense of is there's a strength to this. This is, okay, I'm being drawn back to this, relating to whatever this group of people is that have done these things, worked on these things behind the scenes. They now have this vocal ability, this ability for strength and confidence, as not coming out yet, though, in what is going on. But there may be, not specifically what they've been working on, but there's something else going on here about there could possibly be women speaking out. There could possibly be, and it may not be just like physical women. It's a feminine energy that is supporting this. I'm seeing it now. They're showing me men in saying and speaking out about things. But there's a supportive feminine energy behind this, whatever this is, in bringing whatever to the spotlight, giving the strength and courage to whatever these situations or these people are that are doing. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm also going to have Jupiter here in this biquintile to the North Node. There is a very big, it feels like a heavy energy too, regarding this aspect of domestic, and expanding the growth within that, and the work that needs to be put on or has been put on behind the scenes to move forward in a new direction that's seemingly unknown. We don't fully understand why we're going there. We don't understand what this is. We don't understand what we're doing. But there's a very strong benefit to this. There's a very strong benefit to focusing on yourself first. And of course, this was mundane astrology. So we're dealing with this on a country level, focusing domestically first before anything else. And there's a very strong, abundant benefit to this. It's like learning how to garden. Okay? You can go to the store and pay crazy prices for all of your produce that is sprayed with tons of chemicals, tastes like shit because it's fucking mass produced and it's not the best quality or whatever, and it comes from who knows where. It's been gassed with who knows what. Okay? Or you can buy seeds. You can, till some soil, learn to plant it yourself, look after it yourself, and you can have much tastier vegetables and fruits and all kinds of whatever that you can grow. And you can actually grow a very large, abundant amount even in a small space. You can, there's ways to do things like that, but that's what I get a sense of, is it's that domestic first. Like, if you can do it yourself and support yourself and receive abundance in that way, you are then fully stable and independent in a way that you are then fully able to almost live life more to the fullest, or you have more of a solid foundation of support. You don't have to rely on things that maybe don't have your best interest at heart, or that are trying to price gouge you, or those kinds. You get what I'm saying with this, but relate that to a more mundane level. Whereas home is the country itself, relying domestically on itself, versus being screwed by everybody else, I guess, in a way. There's an abundance that comes from focusing on the home front first. There's a very strong message with that this week again, too. Okay, we're also going to have Mars here in square to Neptune, in semi-square to Neptune, not square, semi-square. Still similar energy. This feels like taking action to move towards something that, it's like seeing the vision. We may not fully understand. You maybe see, you're feeling the vision. You understand the vision, but you're taking action to get there, but you're not really sure how that vision is. It's not solidified yet. It's like a dream. It's like a vision in your mind. But this is taking grounded action towards that thing, that vision. there's passion behind it. There's a drive behind it. There's a fiery energy behind that vision, Neptune and Aries. And taking grounded action in a physical way with Mars and Taurus to enact that. Of course, this is mundane, so can you give me more on like what that would be? I'm honestly just getting a no, so I guess we'll kind of just see how that plays out. We're also going to have, and is this last on my list? Yes, Mercury here is going to be making aspects to the nodes. So we're going to have this sesqui-square to the north node and this semi-square to the south node. Instantly what I get was what I talked about with this Jupiter and this biquintile to the north node, in that it's kind of the same energy. This energy in Cancer right now is dealing with domestic stuff. It's this awareness, it's this communication. I see it from like maybe more local political figures talking to like the peoples of their country, saying like, look, we need to focus on these things domestically now, and to be able to push forward in a more positive direction. And that seems unknown because maybe that's something you're not totally used to. Maybe you're used to relying on imports or all these other things, but now the switch is more domestic, but it's better for you. I get a very strong sense this is better for you in whatever way that this is. And it's kind of letting go of the old practical ways that things used to be done. And of course, with the sesqui-square to the north node, it can't be ignored any longer. It can't be swept under the rug any longer. You were being pushed. You were almost like being forced into this new direction in whatever way, but it feels a very strong benefit. I don't know how exactly all this plays out. I'm interested to see how all of this plays out because it's very domestic focused. And of course, the previous week's video, we haven't lived through that yet. I'm recording this before the beginning of that week, so I don't know. Right? So I don't know what all of this domestic stuff even means yet at this point. But that's still the message that is coming through in whatever way. Okay? So we've reached the end of the video here. If you have made it this far in the video, please leave a purple heart in the comments so I know you're a real one. If you are looking to get any kind of a personal reading, obviously these videos I do here are mundane, which is how they affect us globally, like geopolitically, economically, that kind of stuff. So if you want a personal reading to know how the transits or whatever are affecting you personally, or just a personal chart reading, understanding yourself in whatever way, whatever you want. All the links are in the description below, or you can head on over to my website, mysticalmark.ca. I also do offer, there's a section of my website where I take the previous weekly astrology videos and I line them up with news stories of that week so that you can see basically, you know, that I'm not trying to bullshit you here, okay? So yeah, that is something that exists, and with all that being said, I don't think I have anything else to say, so I hope to see you all in next week's video. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Bye for now. Bye.